If the Cowboys are going to beat the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, the Cowboys defense needs to get wild. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I am your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central, and catching up with you Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays with quick-hitting videos such as this one. The Cowboys play the Steelers on Sunday, and they'll do so without Micah Parsons, without DeMarcus Lawrence, without Brandon Cooks, which we learned about today, and likely without Daron Bland as well. So we'll talk about the offense a little bit more tomorrow night during the live show. But tonight I wanted to talk about the defense because let me tell you something. If there's one thing the Cowboys can do now that Micah Parsons and Lawrence are not going to be around for this game, it's they got to start blitzing Justin Fields and the Steelers. Now, mind you, the Cowboys have been a top 10 unit in terms of blitz usage in 2024 through 4 weeks of the NFL season. I'm talking about doing more. I'm talking about going full Brian Flores, full Todd Bowles, two of the most aggressive coordinators in the entire NFL, and reaching those 60%, 70% blitz rates if it is necessary. And the reason why is I think the Steelers offense is not ready for it. Listen, if you have been caught up with the NFL news, you know the Steelers are banged up. But let's get into the details. They have lost their starting right tackle, first-round rookie Troy Fautanu. I know you know him because Cowboys fans wanted him. Center Nate Hervik is down, and now they've got a rookie starting at center. That is Zach Fraser, and someone that you might also know out of West Virginia. Rookie handling declarations, something that, wasn't fully expected of him early in the season because they were going to start out with Nate Hervik. And now, right guard James Daniel is also out for the season. That means center, right guard, right tackle, they're all backups. There's no continuity there for the offensive line. It's not like Justin Fields is the field general that is going to be adjusting protections or anything like that. In fact, in Pittsburgh, it is the responsibility of the center to do so. So I think that's a prime opportunity for Mike Zimmer to really show why Mike Tomlin, by the way, this week referred to him as the godfather of double A gap pressures. Something that we've known for a while, right? Zimmer likes to use these creative blitzes, but I think the Cowboys really got to go wild with this on Sunday Night Football. Let me give you some stats as to why that is as well. The Steelers are not exactly the most explosive unit out there, but they are top 10 in drop back EPA per play. Now, they're not running the football very efficiently. They're 29th in EPA per play in the NFL, even though common knowledge makes the Steelers out to be this hard-nosed football team that wants to establish the run. And hear me out, they might want to, but they have some issues. Jalen Warren, running back, has been injured. Najee Harris hasn't been great during this Arthur Smith regime. So there are some question marks about how well can they run the football, even against a porous run defense like the Cowboys. Now, I think the Steelers are going to want to challenge the Cowboys through the air because I think the Steelers know, hey, there's no Micah, there's no D-Law. Let's try this out, even with a banged-up offensive line. They might be starting Kalen Carson out there again, or if it's not Carson, it's going to be a very bad spot too, where it's either the practice squad guy, Armani, or maybe it's Israel Mukuamu this time. Yeah, right. I don't know what Easy did to these guys, by the way, but I don't know why he wasn't. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, or it's going to be Andrew Booth Jr. out there for some reason once again. They know there's going to be some chances. And even with Trevon Diggs, they might be willing to challenge him against Trevon Diggs, right? Against George Pickens. That is a matchup that I think the Steelers would be willing to bet on because Trevon Diggs hasn't been exactly a lockdown cornerback lately. He's had some good moments. Obviously, he's a good corner overall, but he's somebody that you can challenge, as evidenced by the Giants last weekend, even with Malik Neighbors and all that. So when Justin Fields is not blitzed, he's averaging his average depth of target goes for 7.7 yards. That is 14th in the NFL, not too shabby, pretty much where you want to be, right? Because you might be pushing the ball downfield a lot versus the blitz. That might also not yield the best results. So 7.7 when not blitzed, that is pretty fine for Justin Fields. When he is blitzed, however, I think the Steelers do not trust their protection up front. You want to know why? He has the lowest average depth of target when blitzed. I'm talking about 3.8 yards per attempt when he is facing pressure. More specifically, design pressure, like 5 pass rushers plus. 3 at average depth of target. That is the lowest in the entire NFL. You can see it on film. It's all dink and dunk when the Steelers are facing the blitz. Not even necessarily with a screen game. They're just not able to push the ball downfield, and I think that's because of the protection up front. And I think that's also because Justin Fields isn't necessarily the field general that will find your weaknesses in the back end when you are facing extra people his way. I think this is the way for the Cowboys to go, honestly. And let me tell you something. Zimmer, sure, 9th in blitz rate through 4 weeks in the NFL. But I feel like there's got to be a very specific plan to get someone going even. Like, I've seen Eric Kendricks with 8 pass rushing snaps. These are the Cowboys players that are not defensive linemen. Kendricks has 8 pass rush snaps. Leo Fau has 5. Donovan Wilson has 5. Overshown has 4. Lewis has 4. Vigil has 2. That totals 28 pass rush snaps for non-defensive linemen. You want to know how many of those are for the Vikings? 136 pass rush snaps for non-defensive linemen. To the Cowboys, 28. That's what I mean when I say I want them to go crazy for this particular game. Now, versus the Lions, for example, next week, maybe not, because that's a better offensive line. That is a better quarterback maybe on the other side, too. They've got some playmakers. I think this is particular to the Steelers game. I want to see Mike Zimmer go crazy. I want to see them challenge the inexperienced offensive line, even the inexperienced quarterback at this stage. Now, there are some issues with that, as you might know, right? That means there will be some holes on the secondary. And I think we've seen Justin Fields do a much better job of throwing the football and avoiding turnover-worthy throws this year. That's been evident on film. It's been evident on the numbers. And he's been throwing over the middle of the field and avoiding sacks much better than he was in 2023. So is there risk in going with this plan? Sure, absolutely there is. But I think you're at a point where you better take some risks, and I think this is one of the best ways they could do that. Now, Trevon Diggs, is he going to shadow George Pickens in this game? I would assume not, just because the Cowboys have faced Amari Cooper, they have faced Malik Neighbors, and we didn't see Trevon Diggs shadow anybody. But it might make sense on this one because George Pickens is pretty damn good. The problem, though, with that is that means likely you're going to have to mix in a high rate of man coverage in there if you're doing this. And I'm not sure you want to see Kalen Carson play man coverage throughout an entire game, honestly, in the NFL these days. So, yeah, I think there's some risk, obviously, but those are some of the big question marks that I have for this game, and that is the game plan that I would like to see from the Cowboys. And another reason, man, and I'll just say this is implied, but in case it wasn't, here it goes. I don't trust the Cowboys' defensive ends to generate pressure on this one. I think even with Micah and Dila on the field, pass rush has not been what we've wanted it to be. It has been bad at times, inexistent at others, and sometimes Micah does his thing. But without them, you're betting on Marshawn Neiland. I'm guessing Chauncey Golston is going to start opposite of him. And the guys that are going to be rotating in, KJ Henry, who they just signed, and who has some talent, has some moves, but also he was in the practice squad for the Bengals, who don't have any pass rush at all. So that tells you something at least. And you're going to likely be betting on Carl Lawson. Once again, right, called up from the practice squad. It's going to be ugly for the Cowboys. If they're going to be able to clean it up, it's going to be a big game from Mike Zimmer on the design side of things. I want to see blitzes, and I want to see a lot of them against the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you like the video, check out our content on the channel. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow on the live show, 8 p.m. Central. See you then. Prediction show. Bye-bye.